This is the good news for August 8th. It's 8/8/2017. Where does the time go? Hey, it just seems to fly right by. So, good news today. Lots of stuff going on in the world, lots of positive things for us to tap into and pay attention to. What you focus on is what you attract. So, if you start focusing on good, positive news, you will attract more of the same into your life. So, this is really cool. While smoking rates are on the decline in some countries, there will always be those who will never quit the harmful habit. And cigarette butts will likely remain an eyesore, littering the world. That's why this company is trying to minimize the negative effects of smoking by selling biodegradable filter tips that plant seeds instead of creating litter. Karma Tips was created by ex-advertising representatives Chaitanya and Ved Roy of India. Ved first got the idea for Karma Tips when he was working with a tobacco company, and he learned about the list of chemicals found in commercial cigarette papers. The couple, who has worked for dozens of corporate giants in the past, quit their jobs so they could pursue creating low-impact cigarette materials. Their handmade filters are 100% organic, biodegradable, and non-addictive, and are sold alongside a similarly improved book of rolling papers. When disposed of, the butt degrades in a matter of days and gives root to basil. Whoa, isn't that cool? New Zealand lawn grass, rosemary, or thyme. In addition to being better for the environment, the filters are healthier for the smoker, because they are not exposed to the chemical-infused paper used by larger tobacco companies. The Roys also employ roughly 24 employees, most of which are women, from local villages to help make, package, and distribute Karma Tips. All the packaging used for the products are created locally, thus stimulating small business and small village economies. The bags that contain the products are hand-woven by a community of local weavers, using organic cotton and locally grown raw material. Even the ink we use for printing is food grade, non-toxic, and made locally. These small initiatives go a long way in involving local and rural communities in the business, thereby helping them prosper. Ved told Your Story. After all, any business that makes only money, we believe, is a bad business. Isn't that the truth? That is absolutely awesome. If you do end up going online and checking out this article, which is on thegoodnewsnetwork.org, go to the bottom and you'll see they have a link to their own Facebook page for Karma Tips. So if you want to check that out in more detail, definitely go look at that. That is very inspiring. Speaking of inspiring, what began as one veteran driving around his Northern California community looking for homeless veterans who he could help out, has blossomed into a full-fledged foundation with help pouring in from around the country. Fox News was first introduced to disabled veteran Kyle Cornwell in March, after a local Sacramento TV station did a story on the work he was doing. At the time, the father of one said he wanted his efforts to becoming a nationwide movement. Very good. We've come a long way, Cornell recently told Fox News. To date, we have received more than 20,000 emails and phone calls from people that have started to do what we do in their own communities. This was my ultimate goal. The foundation is called H3 Movement, or Heroes Helping Heroes. At the moment, Cornwell and a group of volunteers, up to 200 at any time, pile into their cars and drive around Sacramento and surrounding areas looking for veterans who are homeless and need help. I've had weapons pulled on me, and I've been jumped several times, but it's not going to stop me, he said, recounting how he goes beyond the streets and underpasses to find people that need help. There are so many vets that you don't see. They aren't just sitting in the corner. In a storage unit, the foundation has hundreds of care packages with at least 2 weeks' worth of supplies that they hand out to people. But it doesn't end there. H3 Movement is focusing on getting these men and women off the streets and have even secured jobs for some of them at local places and nearby ranches. Cornwall said they have also been able to get many of the men and women in touch with family members. We reached out to their families. A lot of them don't know where they are, he said. It brings tears to your eyes. I've watched fathers reconnect with their sons after 20 years. He continued, last month, one of our homeless vets passed away. I got a call from the hospital because he had my card. I got in touch with his family in Alabama, and they're going to give him a funeral there. The next step is raising funds for a housing facility that will offer homeless vets a place to stay for a year. In that year, they will get job training, medical visits, in hopes of successful transitioning into civilian life. We want to help vets who want to help themselves. Save the ones that want to be saved, Cornwall said. He said the foundation needs at least $50,000 for the land. However, his goal is to raise $2 million. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm going to keep doing it, he said. The community has been more involved than I can explain. It's hard to explain the feeling. Donations for H3 Movement can be made through its website or via GoFundMe. So again, you can look up this article and you can find those pages. And this one actually is from www.msn.com. So see lots of information where you see that people are doing solutions, finding solutions for problems, and then finding ways other people can get involved. I think we all realize that we need to be under no illusion that there's one man that can fix us. We need to do it together as a group. If everybody does their part, what a better world it would be. So, speaking of everybody doing their part, here's a story. An anonymous airline passenger is being hailed as a hero after she stopped a potential sexual assault by glancing at a fellow passenger's text messages. A preschool teacher was on a flight from Seattle, Washington to San Jose, California, when she noticed that the man in the row in front of her was sending explicit texts about sexually abusing children. Since the texts were in an especially large font on a sizable phone, the teacher was able to snap pictures of the texts and use them as evidence against the suspected predator, 56-year-old Michael Keller from Tacoma, Washington. The teacher alerted Southwest flight attendants about the situation, who then contacted law enforcement authorities on the ground. After the plane landed, Keller was taken into custody. His text messages then led to the arrest of the woman with whom he was corresponding, who had been babysitting two children ages 5 and 7. If the plane passenger had not intervened upon seeing the messages, it is quite possible that the children would have been exploited. Oh my gosh, isn't that something? Talk about being in the right place at the right time. According to news sources, Keller is being held at the Santa Clara County Jail, while the woman, Burnsworth, is being held at the Pierce County Jail, both of whom are being charged with attempted child molestation and solicitation of sex crimes. Don't tell me there are no heroes in the world. This is absolutely awesome that this woman, she saw this and she acted on it. It's kind of mind-blowing. San Jose sex crimes detective Nick Jordanez told the Mercury News about the anonymous passenger. She gets on a plane, a normal citizen minding her own business. A couple of hours later, she's intervening on quite possibly the most traumatic thing children can go through. It was life-altering for them, and I would suspect it was life-altering for all of them. What an amazing story. You know, there's always going to be bad stuff that's going around, and if there's any way you can save someone from pain or a terrible thing happening, why wouldn't you do it? Hey, as a human being, why wouldn't you do that? Absolutely awesome. And then my last story here is pretty awesome, because they're all awesome stories, because there's so many awesome stories out there that we could be reading every day instead of not awesome stories. It is not often that shoplifters get a second chance, but this 18-year-old found a reprieve in a compassionate Canadian constable. The youth had been caught attempting to steal a dress shirt, tie, and socks from a Toronto Walmart earlier this week. Constable Naran Janesen was then called onto the scene by the store's loss prevention officer after the shoplifter had been detained. Upon talking with the perpetrator, however, the police officer discovered that the man had tried to steal the products in order to prepare for a job interview that he had on Tuesday. Without any resources or finances to his name, the man felt that shoplifting was his only option. When the young man was released without any charges, the police officer then secretly bought the clothes and gave them to the youth for his job interview. This young person has been facing his own difficulties in life, and he was looking to straighten it all out by providing for his family and trying to get a job. Right? So he needed a hand up, and this police officer gave it to him. Isn't that awesome? And it's unfortunate that he felt like he needed to steal the stuff to begin with. But you know what? It's not up to us to judge. Everybody has their own journey, and it's going to be different for anybody. So before we're done here with the good news portion of the show, I'd like to add on some healthy options, healthy information on today. Our topic is coffee. We always have heard that coffee is bad for you and you should give it up and this and that. Haha, well, according to healthline.com, not necessarily true. They say there's 13 health benefits to coffee, and it's all based on science. That coffee is actually very healthy, and it's loaded with antioxidants and beneficial nutrients that can improve your health. So let's run through these quickly. Number 1, coffee can improve energy levels and make you smarter. Caffeine blocks the inhibitory neurotransmitter in the brain, which leads to a stimulant effect. This improves energy levels, mood, and various aspects of brain function. I think we know it improves the mood. Number 2, coffee can help you burn fat. Several studies show that caffeine can increase fat burning in the body and boost the metabolic rate. Number 3, caffeine can drastically improve physical performance. Caffeine can increase adrenaline levels and release fatty acids from the fat tissues. It also leads to significant improvements in physical performance. Number 4, there are essential nutrients in coffee. A single cup of coffee contains riboflavin, which is vitamin B2, vitamin B5, potassium, magnesium, niacin, manganese, and easy for me to say, and vitamin B3. So that is absolutely awesome. Those are things we need all the time that we quite often try to take out of other things, and it's right there in the coffee. Coffee may lower your risk of type 2 diabetes. Several observational studies show that coffee drinkers have a much lower risk of getting type 2 diabetes, a serious disease that currently afflicts about 300 million people worldwide. Wow, that is about 300 million people too many. Number 6, coffee may protect you from Alzheimer's disease and dementia. Coffee drinkers have a much lower risk of getting Alzheimer's disease, which is the leading cause of dementia worldwide. Number 7, caffeine may lower the risk of Parkinson's. Coffee drinkers have up to a 60% lower risk of getting Parkinson's disease, the second most common neurodegenerative disorder. Number 8, coffee appears to have protective effects on the liver. Coffee drinkers have a much lower risk of developing cirrhosis, which can be caused by several diseases that affect the liver. So if you're a drinker, you definitely need to have your coffee in the morning. Number 9, coffee can fight depression and make you happier. Coffee appears to lower the risk of developing depression and may dramatically reduce the risk of suicide. Number 10, coffee drinkers have a lower risk of some types of cancer. Liver and colon cancer are the 3rd and 4th leading causes of cancer death worldwide. Coffee drinkers have a lower risk of both. And number 11, coffee does not cause heart disease and may lower the risk of stroke. Coffee may cause mild increases in blood pressure, which usually diminish over time. Coffee drinkers do not have an increased risk of heart disease, but a slightly lower risk of stroke. Number 12, coffee may help you live longer. Several studies show that coffee drinkers live longer and have a lower risk of premature death. And last but not least, number 13, Coffee is the biggest source of antioxidants in the Western diet. For people who eat a standard Western diet, coffee may actually be the healthiest aspect of the diet. And that's because coffee contains a massive amount of antioxidants. Wow, isn't that awesome? So good to know, because that's one of our superpowers is what we put in our body. So make sure you pick wisely. So there you go. There's your good news for today from a variety of sources. Make sure you check them out. They are all on the Positive Power Facebook page, on our Twitter account. We are linked up all over with good news.